Hi, Stories Channel here.
Today we're going to take a look at a 1980 romance adventure film called The Blue Lagoon. The movie begins on a ship. Two children, called Richard and Emmeline, sit at the edge of the ship looking at the water. Richard's father, Arthur, comes to the children and forbids them from sitting so close to the edge. Their conversation reveals that Emmeline has lost both her parents, and Richard has also lost his mother, leaving Arthur as his only parent. Arthur tells the children that Emmeline's parents and Richard's mother have gone to heaven. Once the children complete the journey of life, they will also join their parents in heaven. Later that day, Richard finds some nude photos in Paddy's cabin and curiously starts going through them. Emmeline also joins him and asks him what he's looking at. In the meantime, Paddy returns to his cabin. He gets angry and spanks Richard. Emmeline tries to stop Paddy, but as a response, he begins punishing her as well. Suddenly, the ship catches fire. Pandemonium breaks loose in the ship and everyone starts running around and looking for solutions. When it becomes evident that the ship will explode, people get on emergency boats and evacuate the ship. Arthur and his fellow crewmates get on a boat and move away from the ship, while Paddy and the children get on a different boat. They hastily row away from the ship to get as far from it as possible before the explosion. The ship shortly explodes into pieces, erupting into a cloud of smoke. Due to the smoke, Arthur and Paddy are unable to locate each other's ships and drift away from each other. Paddy searches the boat for something useful. However, he finds nothing apart from some wedding photos and clothes. A whole day passes with Paddy and the children rowing their boat around hopelessly without food or water. The next day, the three sight an island and excitedly take their boat to it. Paddy and the children are extremely happy to find fresh water and food after so long. While eating fruits on the island, Paddy discovers a barrel of rum there. Richard brings Paddy a skull and asks him what it is. Paddy freaks out and immediately takes the children away. While Paddy is looking at the water, Richard asks him why his father hasn't come. Paddy tells him that his father will soon come to take him home. Just then, Paddy notices that Emmeline is eating some wild berries. Paddy panics. He tells Emmeline to immediately spit the berries out. He tells her that berries can be dangerous. To make the children understand the danger, Paddy says that the berries are never wake up berries. In the next few days, Paddy teaches the children some survival hacks. He builds them a signal and tells them to light it as fast as possible if they ever see a ship. He also teaches them how to build things using straws and makes them a hut. One day, while wandering the island, Paddy finds freshly ripped out flesh placed on a rock. Terrified, Paddy immediately returns to the safer side of the island. At night, while the children are playing and copying the wedding photos they found in the boat, Paddy sternly forbids them from ever going to the other side of the island. The children ask him why. Paddy tells them that the boogeyman lives on the other side and that he eats children. One day, Paddy drinks a lot of rum. He dances with the children around the fire and then falls asleep. The children leave him there and go inside the hut. Later, a very drunk Paddy is shown going into the water. When Richard and Emmeline awaken the next day, they go around looking for Paddy. After searching for a long time, they finally find him, laying on the ground, hugging the barrel of rum. When they turn him to look at his face, they realize that he's dead. Full of sorrow, the children return to their safe hideout. Richard tries to console Emmeline as she cries. With tears in her eyes, Emmeline begs Richard to take her away from that place. Thus the next day, Richard and Emmeline put their belongings into their boat and go to a different island located nearby. Days turn to months and months turn to years. The children grow up into teenagers on the island. On Christmas, Richard brings Emmeline pearls. This makes Emmeline very happy and she kisses Richard for the first time. One day, while bathing in a pond, Emmeline notices herself bleeding. Not having any knowledge about menstruation cycles, Emmeline freaks out and calls Richard for help. Richard immediately rushes to Emmeline. However, when he reaches her, Emmeline forbids him from coming closer. Richard notices the blood and asks Emmeline how she hurt herself. Emmeline tells him that she's fine and makes him leave. Richard asks Emmeline to let him see how she hurt herself, but Emmeline ignores him. This infuriates Richard. He tells Emmeline that it's unfair of her to keep secrets from him. He tells her that she has changed and storms away. The next day, Richard catches Emmeline looking at his body. He tells Emmeline that she's been acting weird lately. The two later watch the sunset together. Richard asks Emmeline if she ever wonders what really happened to Paddy. Disturbed, Emmeline says she doesn't want to talk about it and leaves. Later, while having dinner, Richard tells Emmeline that there are so many questions in his mind about nature which he wants answers to. While the two are playing around in their hut, Richard and Emmeline hear the sound of distant drumming. They freeze after hearing the sound. Richard wonders what the sound could be, but he tells Emmeline that he wouldn't dare venture into the other side of the island to find out since it could be the boogeyman. One day, Emmeline gives in to her curiosity and goes to the other side of the island where the sounds used to come from. There, she finds a huge face-like statue, made out of rock. Suddenly, a stream of blood starts dripping down from the statue. Emmeline runs back to her hut and tells Richard about this. She tells him that she has found God on the other side of the island. Richard is infuriated. He tells Emmeline that she made a great mistake by venturing into the forbidden areas. Emmeline tells him that the other side is not dangerous. She tells him that she saw the face of God, and she knows because she saw him bleed, just like Jesus. Richard doesn't buy this and tells Emmeline to be careful. That night, Emmeline has a nightmare in which Richard dies after eating some wild berries. She wakes up, disturbed, and starts looking for Richard. Richard comes to her and comforts her. Emmeline asks him to promise her that he will never leave her alone. Richard hugs her and promises. Emmeline kisses Richard. But when Richard starts feeling her up, Emmeline stops him and moves away. Later that night, while Emmeline is sleeping, Richard touches her. Emmeline wakes up and rudely sends Richard away. The next morning, Emmeline tries to talk to Richard but Richard ignores her. Emmeline follows him as he walks off towards the shore and plays with himself. Emmeline calls his name but Richard yells at her and tells her to leave. Later, a ship comes sailing near the island. Richard starts waving to it excitedly and runs towards the signal to light it. However, he fails to reach the signal in time and the ship leaves. He notices that Emmeline had been close to the signal all along and asks why she didn't light the signal. Emmeline ignores him, which makes him even angrier. Enraged, Richard declares that he'll go home without Emmeline. He builds a raft out of straw and bamboo sticks and takes it into the ocean. Emmeline watches with a grin as the raft collapses and Richard returns. She taunts him and tells him that he'll never be able to make something strong enough to carry him home. As a comeback, Richard tells Emmeline that she has started to look funny now. Emmeline throws a coconut at Richard which hits him on the head. She rushes to him as he collapses and apologizes. Richard slaps her across the face and says he wishes she was dead. After this, Richard returns to the hut and throws all of Emmeline's belongings out of the hut. Alarmed, Emmeline asks him what he's doing. He tells her that he's the one who built the hut and he would no longer let Emmeline live in it. A couple of days pass with Emmeline staying outside, even in strong winds and storms, while Richard peacefully enjoys the comfort of his hut. One day, Emmeline accidentally steps on a poisonous fish. This makes her weak. Richard notices her deteriorating health and goes to check on her. Realization dawns on him that if he ever lost Emmeline, he would be stuck on the island all alone. He begs Emmeline to stay strong and stay with him. Emmeline tells him to take her to God. Richard carries her to the other side of the island and lays her in front of the stone statue. With teary eyes, he says he didn't mean it when he said he wishes Emmeline were dead and begs God to save her. After some time, Emmeline moves and opens her eyes. Richard sighs in relief and asks her how she is. Emmeline asks Richard if he's still mad at her. Richard tells her that he isn't mad, he's only afraid of losing her. After this incident, the bond between the two strengthens. While they're eating fruits together, Richard and Emmeline start fooling around. They notice how their bodies change because of their proximity. They are confused by the strange things they're feeling. They let their instincts guide them and thus make love to each other for the first time. This discovery changes their days. Now the two start spending their lives on the island like lovebirds. After some time, Richard notices that Emmeline's appetite has increased. He comments on this and tells Emmeline that if she continues this, she will become fat. However, Emmeline seems to have no control over her hunger. Richard notices Emmeline's behavior and body changing. One day, he awakens to see Emmeline throwing up. In the following days, Emmeline also loses interest in lovemaking. This saddens Richard. He asks Emmeline if she has stopped loving him. Emmeline tells him that she does love him but it has started to hurt. She tells Richard that he can also feel her body change. With this, she takes Richard's hand and places it on her belly. Richard senses some movement inside and gets shocked. We're then taken ahead in time where Emmeline now has a visible baby bump. Richard awakens one day to see that Emmeline isn't in the hut. He gets worried and starts wandering around the island, looking for her. While looking for her, Richard goes over to the forbidden part of the island. There, he sees the drumming jungle dwellers for the first time. They dance around the fire with peculiar sticks and tools in hand. As they're dancing, one of them is laid down in front of the stone statue and sacrificed for their deity. Richard is horrified by this. He turns and runs as fast as he can until he reaches the safer parts. When Richard returns, he hears Emmeline's screams. He follows them to see Emmeline, who's now experiencing labor pains. Richard tries to comfort Emmeline as she moves and squirms in pain. The agony finally stops after a while and Emmeline's baby is born. The couple is shocked upon the little one's arrival since nature's phenomena was unknown to them. The couple cradles the baby and brings it back to their hut. Later that day, the couple sits in front of the crying baby, wondering what it wants. When the baby starts suckling on Richard's finger, Richard tells Emmeline that the baby must be hungry. Thus the two start trying to feed it fruits and coconut juice, but the baby continues crying. To console the baby, Emmeline cradles it to her chest, and that's how she discovers what the baby actually wants. The couple names their child Patty and they all start living a happy life as a family. Patty soon grows up into a toddler. While walking with Patty and Richard on the shore, Emmeline asks Richard if he remembers their snowball fights. After saying this, Emmeline smears mud on Richard's arm. She tells him that it's freezing just like the snowballs they used to play with. The family starts playing around in the mud. A moment later, they see a ship approaching, but none of them go to light the signal, indicating that they are content with this life and consider the island their home. Arthur, now old with age, is seen on the ship. It's revealed that he's been out on the sea, looking for Richard and Emmeline for a very long time. He watches the family as it goes back, covered in mud, and says that they can't be Richard and Emmeline. One day, Emmeline requests Richard to take her back to the place where they used to live with the older Patty before he died. Richard takes the boat out and takes his family to the island they first used to live on. When they reach the island, memories come back to Emmeline and she refuses to go further inside. Richard tells her to wait and goes to get bananas. While Emmeline is waiting for Richard near the boat, Patty picks a few berries and puts them in the boat. Emmeline gets in the boat with Patty after a while and starts rowing the boat around near the island. Patty grabs one of the oars and throws it down into the water. Emmeline panics. She tries to get the oar but it's far out of reach. Richard returns with the bananas and notices the oar. He jumps into the water and grabs the oar. As he's swimming to the boat after this, a shark starts nearing him. Richard freaks out and starts swimming hastily. Emmeline throws the other oar at the shark and Richard gets into the boat with the one in his hand. They realize a bit too late that throwing the oar was a mistake. The shark keeps circling their boat and they're not able to get to the oar. Hence their boat starts drifting away. They spend some time in the boat, wondering how they will get to the island. Emmeline sees Patty eating the berries he had brought. She freaks out after looking at them since they were the berries the older Patty had warned them not to eat. Emmeline makes Patty spit the berries out but Patty had already swallowed a few of them. Later that day, Patty starts closing his eyes. The couple gets worried and tells him not to sleep since to them, once he slept after eating the never wake up berries, they would lose him. Not having any other solution to their problem, Richard grabs the rest of the berries and gives a few to Emmeline. Emmeline gets the hint and takes them from him. Both of them swallow the berries and lie together with Patty in their arms. On his ship, Arthur is told by his crewmates that a boat has been sighted. Arthur tells his crewmates to immediately steer his ship towards the boat. He approaches Richard and Emmeline's boat and checks to see if they are alive. Fortunately, these berries were not poisonous. The family was only sleeping. Thus the children are reunited with Arthur after several years and the movie ends. Thank you so much for watching.